Hi everyone, this is David from SilverStorm. I would like to welcome you all to our live webinar looking at providing efficient support through better access to knowledge. A couple of housekeeping items before we start. We will put all participants on mute during the webinar. You can raise questions using the GoToWebinar Q&A box that you have on the screen. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. The session is being recorded and we will share the recording after the webinar is completed. I would like first to introduce you to my colleague. Hi, Julian.
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. I'm Julian Hunt. I'm Commercial Director here at Zoomin Software. Thanks to David and the SilverStorm team for having us today, and thanks to all the attendees for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, Julian. So let's go to the agenda. We'll start by setting the scene and explaining the context of today's webinar, and then we will zoom into the customer experience challenges, the value proposition, and the solution that we propose from SilverStorm and Zoomin side. So before we go to the content, a couple of words about SilverStorm. We are a consulting company implementing digital transformation programs for more than 20 years now. We have a portfolio of solutions to improve the digital experience at work and with your customers. We apply disruptive and sustaining innovation to drive the transformation. So we are working with several technology partners. Of course, Zoomin as a key partner for us. And we'll talk about today about also ServiceNow, which is also key in our portfolio of solutions. Maybe, Julian, if you want to do a quick introduction about Zoomin as an organization and technology.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So the quick 30 seconds on Zoomin. We're a software as a service company headquartered in Tel Aviv, Israel, with operations also in New York and London, where I'm based today. Our mission, in short, is to help companies deliver a delightful self-service experience to their customers so they can easily find product answers and avoid burdening support teams with unnecessary tickets. We've been recognized by Gartner in their CRM service and support category, and we form strong technical alliances with SilverStorm, of course, also alongside technology partners such as ServiceNow and Salesforce. So that's us in a nutshell.
Thank you, Julian. So let's start with the framework. So let's start by positioning the framework. So we are today focused on customer service and support departments and organizations. So in those departments, the flexibility, scalability are key. And sometimes we see that, the complex infrastructure, the technology landscape and everything is not really helping, okay? And many analysts, they all agree that basically the organizations that are investing more on customer experience, that are normally the organizations that have more growth and profitability at the end. So there's a direct link between customer experience and the profitability and growth of your organization. So on the overview of customer experience, so if we zoom, or if we drill down one level into customer experience area, there are several dimensions that may affect directly the way customers perceive your support and service. So of course, we have the call management, contact centers. This is the obvious part that we all think about at first thought, but also the services provided through the internet, like portals and mobile apps. Could be also field services that you provide on site to your customers. It could be a B2B, B2C service that you provide to your customers. So there are several dimensions that may impact the customer experience. Today, we are focusing in more details on the knowledge, how knowledge will help improving the customer experience. So there are technology components on the right that may help on the customer experience. That could be mobile, portals, AI, machine learning, automation, and knowledge management, okay? So we'll focus specifically in knowledge management today on a key aspect on how you can improve the experience of your customers on your service, okay? So if we go to the main challenges, based on the experience during the last 20 years, we've selected the 5 most common challenges that we see in the market for the customer experience. So normally there is one, which is the poor customer experience in the low CSAT or NPS rating. This is one of the most common one. And this is what the customers are asking us maybe on the most important one, I would say, that we hear in many organizations, worried about the customer experience and CSAT and stuff like that. It's all linked to retention at the end. The difficulty to interact and communicate with the customer. So sometimes it's very good in one way, but it's not really good in two-way communication. So that's something that normally needs to be improved. The difficulty in the adoption on any change that you want to apply. So we've seen many organizations saying, okay, we've tried to apply changes and improvements, enhancements in the way we work with our customers, but sometimes it's not adopted, so they're not really using it. So there's something here to improve generally in the market on the way that we make sure the customer adopts the new technology on the new services we provide. The lack of mobile and chatbot today, that it's like it's a given. The customers are waiting for that. They're waiting for, okay, I need to connect through my mobile. I want a chatbot to get support 24/7 anytime and get valid answers any question I may have. It's like something that should be there, right? But it's not always there yet. So this is one of the challenges. And then finally, the one we will drill down a bit more today into details is the access to knowledge. So sometimes the access to knowledge is isolated, inconsistent, or outdated. So how can we tackle those challenges? Okay, because the idea here is to provide an outstanding customer experience. So we need to make sure we tackle those 5 most common challenges. First of all, we need to enable the customer feedback, to improve the way the customer can provide the feedback. This is the best way to make sure they have the best experience, and the CSAT and NPS are improved, is making sure we listen to their feedback and we measure their satisfaction level, the retention rate, try to really have scores and ratings and concrete data to take actions on it. Okay. The second one is increasing the customer engagement or improving customer engagement, basically providing better services to increase the satisfaction. Okay, so the way we communicate should be really a modern way of communication. Sending notification by email, this is like the old way. Today, really customers are waiting for something different and aligned to what they do in their daily life with the mobile, everything on real time, push notification, those kind of things. The adoption is key to make sure that everything we improve or we deliver to our customer, they adopt it, they use it, and they see the value. So we need to provide guidance, step-by-step guidance, making sure the adoption is there, online help, those kind of things to make sure that they know how to use it and they see the value using it. Of course, mobile apps and chatbot today is something that we can provide, and that will help a lot to modernize the customer support experience. And finally, the knowledge, as I mentioned, this is where we're going to zoom into the details today with Zoomin. The access to knowledge in an agile, intuitive, personalized way, unifying all knowledge into one place for the customer. Even if internally we know there are many sources of knowledge, and Julian will go into the details here explaining how we can do that, right? So those challenges are the most common we see in the market. How, from SilverStorm side, how do we make sure that we transform the customer service organization or department? First of all, we always focus on the vision, direction, and experience. This is the way we deliver digital transformation, through the vision, direction, and experience. We have a portfolio of services, basically covering what we call the digital agility, digital automation, and the digital experience. And those 3 main challenges of digital transformation is part of our DNA. There is no transformation if you are not providing an outstanding experience to your customers. There is no transformation if you are not automating through workflow integration, AI, machine learning. And there is no transformation if you are not providing value in an agile way. It means the time to value should be, as quick as possible. And also the continuous improvement should be something agile, something where you can show value all over the time. No, not a one-shot transformation. This is a journey. So this DNA, this is part of our DNA, and we package all this through complete transformation programs. For example, this is our transformation program for customer service. There's a lot on the screen here, but I'd like to really focus on the important point. But basically, you will find that digital agility I mentioned before, this is time to value. The digital automation, workflows, AI, machine learning, and then the experiences. We have the user experience, which is what impacts directly to our customer and user experience. We have the business experience, which is more internally in organization, how we can improve how the business is delivering the services to a customer. And then we have a technology experience, which is basically all the IT that is required to provide support to all that customer service program. Okay. So on the right, you can see more details on how we achieve that. For example, in agility, the time to value, the time to market. So key is the organizational change. We need to manage the change in the organization. If we provide new channels, for example, now we have a chatbot. It is not only about technology. We need also to manage the change internally to make sure all our customer support team understands how to use the chatbot and what's the value of the chatbot. We provide roadmaps to really drive the transformation. This is the direction, how you can help you in a 1, 2, 3 years program to really transform the customer service experience, process optimization, governance, continual improvement. All those are part of the agility. This is consulting to guide you on how to achieve your objectives. The automation, I mentioned it with AI, machine learning, workflows and integrations, and then the experiences. Today, we will focus a lot on the user experience, which is the customer service experience, the customer service adoption, mobility, and virtual agent, which are chatbots. Okay. So all this is part of a transformation program. We are able to help organizations in the short, mid, and long term to really transform the way you provide support to your customers. Today, we will really zoom into the details for the customer service experience, where we use two main technologies. One is ServiceNow that we use for the channel and omni-channel experience, chatbots, mobile apps, portals, and self-service solutions, and the initial access to knowledge. But then we have a key component here to really improve the customer experience. It's Zoomin, because Zoomin is the one that will make sure the knowledge is providing value to the customer. So the experience of the customers is improving through a better access to knowledge. So we'll hand over, maybe Julian, you can maybe explain us a little bit how Zoomin is delivering that part for the knowledge management side.
Thanks, David. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. So as David mentioned earlier, one of the biggest negative impacts on the customer experience is when customers have to work too hard to find what they're looking for. And in a study, 82% of customers say that finding answers quickly is key to a great customer experience. People now, they expect that Amazon, Netflix experience wherever they go. So some examples. Amazon reminds you may need to order more dog food. Google makes it easy for you to get answers in just seconds. And Netflix personalizes your experience with content you might enjoy. The question is whether the product content experience is keeping up with this gold standard. What we actually find, in fact, is that the realities of the customer self-service and support experience are very different. So why is that? If we look at the experience you find in most supports or community portals provided by companies like ServiceNow or Salesforce, there is usually a good amount of case resolving knowledge available. So, for example, community interactions with other customers of the product and knowledge articles addressing common questions and issues. However, too often, the most authoritative and comprehensive content that can have the greatest impact on self-service is inaccessible within your support portal itself. The reality is that there is a huge volume of product documentation being authored and residing in tools outside of your support ecosystem. For example, product guides or user manuals, release notes, API documentation. These are often written in specialist authoring tools like Flair or Swagger. Support portals are just not designed for authoring and publishing technical product content. So why is that? So simply put, product content is very different to other types of content. So if we have any technical writers in the attendees today, I'm sure you'll relate to this. Product content is built like a book with topics, subtopics. Each page is related to the previous and the next topic. Structure, hierarchy, and context are important. So having all this content in one flat article will not allow a user to navigate effectively for the answer they're looking for. So I'll give you an example here of where this is done correctly. So this is actually ServiceNow's own public-facing documentation portal. You'll see here you have the main topic in the middle, but on the left there you have a table of contents where the user can navigate between the various different topics and subtopics. At the bottom there you'll see you have that relationship. You can navigate between the previous and the next topic. So if the specific topic the customer has landed on is not the one that helps solve their answer, they can very easily navigate between other similar articles. So how do companies approach this challenge of having knowledge dispersed across the organization in many systems and tools? Well, you could just do nothing, but then you're creating these knowledge islands and expecting a high customer effort to navigate between them. There's also the concern that, simply put, customers don't know what they don't know. You don't really have much control or understanding of what knowledge that they're consuming. Another option is to convert all of your documentation into knowledge base articles within your customer support portal itself. However, as we discussed earlier, structure and context is highly important to product content, and that will all be lost when these publications are flattened into knowledge base articles. Not to mention it's a labor-intensive process that I doubt your IT team would thank you too much for. Many other companies try and address the issue with unified search tools. Now, this can be a really effective way for users to be able to search any topic within your support portal, no matter where it resides today. These tools can index contents from a huge amount of different sources. So on the surface, it sounds like a great solution. However, I'd say that the gap here is that for any content living outside of your support portal, users can only see a preview or a snippet of that content. If they actually then want to go on and fully engage with the content, they're forced to leave the support portal and have a different user experience based on wherever that content resides today. So users then need to jump back and forth between the systems, which in my view creates unnecessary friction. So here at Zoomin, we believe to deliver a truly customer-centric experience where content is quickly accessible and easy to engage with. The ideal solution is to bring all of your product content into a unified experience. So with ServiceNow as an example, all of your technical product content that's authored outside of ServiceNow is then available in the same location as all of your cases, your knowledge articles, and other objects that are native to ServiceNow. One comment here is that so far we've been talking mostly about findability, which is crucial, of course, to a strong self-service experience. But linking back to the Netflix experience that we discussed earlier, the missing piece to a great customer experience is ensuring content is also engaging and personalized to a use case. So how do we do that? So what you'll see here in this funnel on the left is the various different types of content format for product content, different systems and tools used to author product content. So at Zoomin, firstly, we ingest all of your product content, regardless of the format or wherever it resides today across your business. We index and tag that content within the Zoomin Content Cloud, applying a layer of intelligence, which then allows us to orchestrate the delivery of that content. So we can improve SEO by making public content available via search engines, whilst we're applying security and entitlements to ensure restricted content is only shown to valid and authenticated users. We then focus on making the content engaging by providing, for example, recommendations for forward navigation and personalizing the content available based on your preferences and your use case. So now unified within the Zoomin Content Cloud, all of this content is findable within one search box. Zoomin then seamlessly delivers this unified content wherever users are searching for product answers. So for many Zoomin customers, they launch a dedicated technical resource center or documentation portal, which acts as a single source of truth for all product answers. Other customers, they want to integrate this unified content experience into other customer-facing touchpoints they already have, like a ServiceNow support portal that we discussed earlier, or even directly within your own products and applications to maximize product adoption and satisfaction. Connected to all of this behind the scenes are powerful analytics that help influence, for example, your product and content roadmaps by delivering insights on how your customers are engaging with your content. So for example, what they find useful, what issues they have, what they cannot find, and so on. So let's bring this to life with some examples. I'm just going to switch to my browser. Okay, so what you should be seeing here now on the screen, this is an example of a ServiceNow community portal. Now, the important difference here is that by installing the Zoomin app for ServiceNow, you are now able to search across the whole breadth of your product documentation, even content that exists outside of the ServiceNow ecosystem, alongside the typical ServiceNow native objects like knowledge bases and communities. So if we look into an example, if I click on documentation here, and I'll click on this article here. So what you're seeing here now is actually a topic that has been written and exists outside of ServiceNow. This content could be a CHM file or XML, Word, Confluence. Everything is immediately available as HTML5 within ServiceNow. So unlike ServiceNow Knowledge, where articles are individual pages, now you have the full fidelity and richness of structured publications. So you've got a table of contents, you've got embedded links, there's related articles. You can export the content dynamically to PDF, so it could be just this individual topic or perhaps the whole publication. You can watch the content to get notifications when it changes, and you can leave feedback and comments on the content. For example, you see here. Importantly, all of your content is now searchable within this one search box within ServiceNow. So whether it's native ServiceNow objects like cases or knowledge-based articles like we mentioned earlier, or content authored and residing outside of ServiceNow, you're not forcing your users to have to leave the ServiceNow ecosystem to go and find the answers they need. You're making everything easy for them and packaging it within one user experience here within this ServiceNow portal. The same use case is there also for your agents when they're responding to tickets within the agent console. So here's an example of a ticket within ServiceNow. What you'll see here is that, driven from the short description here of the case, Zoomin is surfacing relevant content that might help that agent solve that case. So in the previous state, an agent might get this case, they then have to maybe jump out of ServiceNow to go to other internal repositories of information to find the information they need to help solve this case. Now all of this content is surfaced and available here within ServiceNow. It can be consumed, it can be attached to the case, with the whole purpose here of making your agents, or increasing their productivity, increasing their efficiency, and helping solve those cases faster. Now I'd like to show you an example of a public-facing documentation portal built and powered by Zoomin. So for any customers of ServiceNow on the webinar today, you may already be interacting with this website already. This is their public-facing documentation portal where you can come to get support and documentation related to their products. The one thing that you'll notice straight away here is that the first thing you're prompted to do is to log in. The whole point here, as we mentioned earlier, is about personalizing the experience, so it's very tailored and relevant to you, rather than just showing you any content or all content available from the experience. So I'll show you an example of how that might impact the results. So if I do a search here, for example, for agent calendar, you'll see here in the search results, right now I have the ability to toggle between different versions. So they name cities as different versions of the product. Right now, all of this content is grouped together in the search results. If I had logged in, the portal would then, of course, know what product I have and what version I have. and therefore it would surface at the top only content that is relevant, specific to me. Relevancy is so important in self-service, so people find that the content they're seeing is exactly tailored to their use case. If I click into the content itself, as we saw earlier, you'll see that I have all of the table of contents, so I can quickly navigate across the various different topics. They're all linked together. I have the various different engagement mechanisms here in terms of leaving feedback, downloading the content, watching it to make sure that as it evolves, I get updates on the article, and I can share that with any other people in my organization who might also be interested in this particular content. Next example I wanted to show you is how you can actually go and personalize the experience directly within the search results themselves. So this is another documentation portal built and powered by Zoomin for the Cray supercomputer, which is owned by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. So again, you have the central search experience so that users can have that Google-like experience to come and find exactly what they're looking for, so an exact topic perhaps, rather than having to sift through a long PDF document, which requires a huge amount of user effort. So immediately I can filter my search right from the off. If I do an example search here, it comes up with suggested results. Look at the search results page, and you'll see here that immediately it's prompting me to personalize my search results. So I can go in here and actually edit my preferences and put in specific products or what I'm interested in to make sure that the content that I see is very much tailored exactly to what I'm looking for. What you'll see here is actually the tags that we talked about in terms of the zoom-in process are actually visibly visible here to the customers. They can actually see how this content is tagged and what exactly that it's relevant to. If I click into a specific example here, you'll see that no matter where this content was created, as said, the user experience is consistent. And if this was not the right answer for me, this was not what I was looking for, it is then suggesting related content that might actually be closer to what I'm looking for, or again, it's very easy for me to sift between various different subtopics or topics within the publication itself. The next example I wanted to show you was the documentation portal built by Zoomin for the security company Imperva. So the example I wanted to show here is how different sources of content are very visibly mashed together, and yet from the user experience perspective, you would not know the difference of where that content lives today. So if I do a quick search here, say for API, you'll see here actually it goes ahead and lists the different sources from where this content comes from. So from the user perspective, it doesn't matter. All this content can by default be listed in one list of search results based on the relevance to the particular search phrase or query. But you can actually toggle between whether it's community discussions or knowledge-based articles or documentation. What you see here, if I click on an example, some of this content is highly technical in nature. So if you click here, you see this type of content was most likely written in a particular technical authoring tool relevant to API documentation. Yet the reality is that only because someone is looking for very technical content in nature, it doesn't mean to say they might also be looking for content that is maybe perhaps user guides or instructions around, say, installing the API. So see here that right next to it is content that, again, this could have easily been written in a Word document or in Confluence, but it's all naturally available in the same user experience as the more technical documentation, which make sure that the whole navigation experience is tailored around the user and what specifically they are looking for. The last example I wanted to show you was, this is the documentation portal built by Zoomin for Progress software. So we talked a lot about search today, and search is great if you know what you're looking for, but the reality is that sometimes people just do not know exactly what they're looking for. They know they have an issue or they're trying to learn more about the product. They don't know exactly what to search for. So part of building a great customer experience around product information documentation is catering for these different use cases. So maybe you know what your product is, but you don't know what exactly you're looking for. So creating a navigation journey where you can start by based on the product you have. What Progress do really well here then is then trying to cater for the different role type within the organization. So maybe a developer has a very different use case for the product than a systems administrator. So what they can do here is create landing pages which say, we know who you are. We know what your use case for our product might be. We know what type of information would be helpful for you. And therefore, you create an information experience that's very tailored to the specific individual involved. So if I click here as an example, then instead of just giving a list of various different information and tasks for that particular person to look through, they've created almost these digital learning paths. So if I'm a developer and I want to learn about concepts and syntax, they've grouped together in this Metro Map style workflow all of the different topics and types of content that might be particularly relevant to get up to speed fully on concepts and syntax. So you can almost work through this step by step and mark off each section as complete. So then you're starting to really drive a user experience where you're confident each of the users are getting step by step all of the different content they might need to be fully up to speed on that particular topic. I'm just going to switch back to my presentation. So I guess you may be thinking, well, this all looks great, but does it really have an impact? Does it really make a difference? Well, I'd say that many of Zoomin's customers have been truly able to demonstrate a measurable impact on improving customer satisfaction scores like NPS, or reducing support costs through case deflection, and driving higher traffic and engagement to their self-service resources. So in summary, I'd say that product content could be a truly powerful asset for your organization if it is leveraged in the right way. And by doing that, it can facilitate a truly effective self-service experience and make a huge impact for both your customer and for your internal support organization. Thanks, David. I'll hand back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Julian. So just go to the Q&A session now. Let me introduce you to Joe. Joe is with us also today. Welcome, Joe. He's a president at Zoomin Software.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Joe. Joe is also available if we have any question you may want to ask related to Zoomin and the technology. Okay, so we have some question from the attendees. First question, it's about the integration effort. So what is the integration effort required to launch the Zoomin solution? So maybe, I don't know, Julian, you want to answer that one?
Happy to take that one. No, good question. I think part of the beauty of Zoomin and the feedback we get from our customers is that the solution is very IT light. So it's a software as a service cloud-based solution. And the way we've built the solution means that there shouldn't be really much change management required at all on the customer side. The whole point is that you should be able to continue doing what you're doing today, be able to write content in the tools that you're writing today. Zoomin sits in the middle of that and makes sure that we gather all of that content, and then we work on presenting it in a user experience that's really tailored, personalized, and targeted to the customer. We also, as you've seen, we've put integrations with the likes of ServiceNow and Salesforce and other platforms so that we can very seamlessly integrate into other systems you have without you worrying about this complicating the technology stack that you have today. So I'd say in short, it's a very light integration process, and we typically can launch customers live in a period of 10 to 12 weeks.
Thank you, Julian. We have another question about the permissions. So how do you manage permissions to ensure that the appropriate content is shown to the right customers at the end?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because I think it's great providing all of this content to various different users, but you need to make sure that content is being served in the right way, that content that is gated should be kept as such, and only content that's relevant to certain users is exposed to them. Particularly as you think about these documentation portals or technical resource centers, they're often targeted at not just customers, but also internal employees or partners. And each of those different user groups might have both different use cases and different permissions in terms to what content they can see. So this is done in a few stages. First of all, there's an authentication level. So we are integrating in most cases with our clients' single sign-on or identity providers. So first of all, we can, if content is gated, that we can make sure that we understand who a customer is. And by integrating with single sign-on, for example, we understand more about who they are and what permissions they have. And then, so that's the authentication, understanding who they are. In terms of then what they can see, that is managed in the back end of the Zoomin platform. So it's done in a couple of ways. First of all, through the tagging process that I mentioned. So a very basic example, tags can be added to the content to understand what is public versus what is gated content. And then we create what we call content role groups within the Zoomin platform. So you can really define down to very granular group levels exactly what type of content should be exposed to those types of customers.
Great. Yeah, that could be also depending on the products they're using and on other metadata at the end that you have from their customer, the install base and the services the customer are using.
Exactly. Great. Right. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah, I think we have time for last question about the Zoomin portals. So we have someone saying that's looking great, but do customers really even use the portals, or are they just expecting that everything is done for them, so they don't need even to go there or whatever? What's your feedback on that?
No, it's a good point. I think maybe some people feel in today's society that we may have become a bit lazy, and we might expect that everything is done for us. Do we even want to self-serve? Do we just want things done for us? And I guess there is some truth to that in the fact that if products can be as Apple-like as possible and don't require much support, then that's the perfect scenario. But many of the companies that we partner with have very technical products in nature, and it is unrealistic to expect that Apple-like experience. So you do need to provide support and documentation around those products. So I think to answer your question about do people actually use the documentation portals, I think it's a bit of a chicken egg scenario in the fact that maybe today for some companies, customers are not using those resources, but it's because of this point that the user experience is not great. So if today users are having to work too hard to find the information because maybe they're having to go too many different places, the knowledge is dispersed across these disparate systems, or when they do get to the information, it's not relevant to them, or it's difficult to consume because it's buried in PDF documents rather than a very searchable web-based interface, then yeah, absolutely. In those cases, that's where customers aren't really using these portal experiences at all. But what our customers find after launching with Zoomin is that when you actually provide an experience which is intuitive, which is personalized and tailored to the customer and their use case, that actually the adoption of these resources skyrockets. So for many of our clients, and we're talking about big global software and professional services companies, financial services companies, they're seeing that the traffic to their technical resource centers, their documentation portals, is actually higher than their main marketing.com sites, which gives you a good view there of how valuable these resources are and how regularly customers are using them when they can very easily interact with them and find what they're looking for.
Yeah, that's the unified and personalized experience, right? And that knowledge will be also available from any chatbot or portal, so that make the omni-channel more powerful also, because the knowledge is available everywhere, same format, same content, any device, any channel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I'm conscious that now we are running out of time, so we will go through all the questions. We will send an FAQ to everyone attending this session today. Also, the recording will be shared. So I want really to thank you very much for your time during this session. I hope that you found this session informative. Thanks to Julian and Joe for your contribution, and thank you everyone for attending today. Thank you very much. For the next session that we'll have a session in June. The session will be focused on a proactive service to your customer. So we'll focus really on all the different services and solutions that we can provide to switch from a reactive to proactive kind of service. Okay, so really interesting stuff there around proactivity. And of course, you can contact us at any time to do the contact details you have on the screen for both Zoomin and SilverStorm. So thank you again, everyone, and see you on the next webinar. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.